Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Raymond Muratalla versus Floyd Schofield Jr. in negotiations for a November fight. Raymond Muratalla is ready to make the first defense of his IBF lightweight title. Negotiations are underway for a fight to take place between Muratalla and Floyd Schofield Jr. in November on DAZN. The Ring has learned, per multiple sources directly involved with the deal would require Top Rank, which represents Muratalla, and Golden Boy, which represents Schofield, to find a common ground and get the deal over the finish line. Something they weren't able to do earlier this month as they tried to make a fight between Ortiz and WBO middleweight champion Zayas. Top Rank has the champion Muratalla, but they are currently operating without a broadcast partner after ESPN opted not to renew its deal with the promotional company once the agreement expired in July. Golden Boy has a streaming partner in DAZN to complement the highly qualified contender Kid Austin, Schofield. I think that Top Rank might be more willing to send over Raymond Muratalla than they would have been to send over Zayas. If what was offered was in fact a real offer, according to Zender, it was little more than just a conversation starter, whereas this looks a little bit more serious between Kid Austin and Raymond. Bit more solid. Floyd Schofield, 19-0 with 13 KOs, is coming off of a sensational first-round stoppage win against former title holder Tevin Farmer in June, who has since retired. The prolific performance washed away the sour saga Schofield endured in February when he pulled out the week of his scheduled fight against Shakur Stevenson, citing illness. An illness we still don't know what exactly it was. Muratalla, 23-0 with 17 KOs, picked up the interim IBF title in May when he beat Zaur Abdullayev and was elevated to the sanctioning body's full champion in June after Vasyl Lomachenko retired. Muratalla, a 28-year-old from Southern California, also fought the former 130-pound title holder Farmer last year and scored a 10-round unanimous decision win. Both guys fought Tevin Farmer. He's a common opponent for the both of them. The whole who did it better conversation, there's a legitimate argument. Floyd did much better against Tevin than Raymond did. But that doesn't necessarily mean he can do that to Raymond, because triangle theories don't work. Schofield, a 23-year-old based out of San Antonio, is rated number 3 by the IBF. Andy Cruz is the sanctioning body's number 1 challenger, a spot he earned by stopping Hironori Mishiro inside 5 rounds in June. Muratalla and Cruz were in separate negotiations earlier this summer to secure a fight in November, but a deal could not be reached. Wait a minute, if Andy's ranked at number 1, how is Floyd getting a shot before him? Well, it's likely because the IBF hasn't officially ordered that fight between Andy and Raymond. So at this time, Raymond might have enough wiggle room to take on a voluntary enter Floyd Schofield, who he's rumored to be in negotiations with, but there is also a separate rumor I came across that Floyd Schofield said he is fighting Badhi next in November for Gervonta Davis's soon-to-be vacant WBA title. And what lends credence to that notion is that via the WBA, Floyd Schofield is ranked at number 1 and Badhi is ranked at number 5. So a fight between them would be a fight between top 5 guys via the WBA. Who would facilitate that fight? It could be MVP. They promote Badhi. That's where he had his last fight. And Floyd Schofield, he has fun on that platform. That fight that he just had with Tevin Farmer where he knocked him out, that was on the undercard of Jake Paul versus Julio Cesar Chavez. So MVP has used him before. You're talking about a fight in November, they might use him again on the undercard of Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis. Well, the fight with Raymond Muratalla, that fight is supposed to be in November. Is it possible it's for that undercard? I'm wrestling with the idea that Floyd Schofield will fight Raymond instead of Lucas, because if he fights Raymond and theoretically beats him, Andy Cruz then becomes his problem. And I don't think he wants that problem. I don't think Golden Boy wants that for him. They have to know that an IBF order to fight Andy Cruz is right around the corner. It's looming to where if you become IBF champion in the not-so-distant future, he becomes your problem. Then they have to deal with Matchroom to make that fight. It's either make the fight
or forfeit the title.
This would be a consequence of fighting Raymond and beating Raymond. And who's to say that Floyd beats Raymond? If I had to compare them, fighting Raymond or fighting Lucas, I think the Lucas Badhi fight is the more winnable fight of the two. That's what I think.
And Lucas is with MVP, so for using somebody else's fighter, might as well just use your own.
Being honest, I like either fight for Floyd Schofield. I don't really mind him as a fighter. He's entertaining. The only hang-up with Floyd is his father.
Mama Skull.
Mama Holyfield talks too goddamn much, writing too many checks that his son's ass can't cash, saying this and that about Shakur. It's fine. It's all right. You knocked out Tevin Farmer in a round. Congratulations. But Tevin Farmer is not Shakur Stevenson.
Understand?
A lot of the negativity that Floyd receives has everything to do with his father. His father talks too much. You bailed on Shakur Stevenson. Nobody believes you were sick. And you admitted to ducking Abdullah Mason. They offered you $2 million for that guy, and you turned it down. The only reason we know is because of your daddy.
Talks too much.
He's the one that said it. He's the one who told the world. Why, I don't know, since it doesn't reflect well on them. That aside, I don't actually mind Floyd Schofield as a fighter. I like his fights. He's fun to watch.
Just his dad.
Another one of these overbearing boxing dads that likes the camera time a little bit too much. Either way, though, I like the idea of Floyd returning before the year is out, and I like Lucas Badhi about as much as I like Raymond Muratalla. I like either fight for Floyd, but I'm really not sure if it's going to be Raymond.
Over to another situation involving a top-ranked fighter and a Golden Boy Promotions fighter.
Virgil Ortiz hits back at Xander Zayas' 27-year-old prospect comment. He said a prospect who has actually fought top competition over a champion that has been gifted a title and fought nobody. That's what he had to say about it, but that's not exactly accurate. The title that Xander Zayas now holds was not a gift. It's the byproduct of putting the squeeze, putting pressure on Sebastian Fundora to fight. The night of the Cordell Booker fight, Xander Zayas was there, ringside, in attendance, to put the pressure on Sebastian to fight him. Because remember, Xander was his mandatory.
Via the WBO.
And Xander wasn't shying away from that fight. He wasn't running from it. He was running to it. It's Sebastian that didn't want to go through with it. It's Sebastian that didn't want to fight. He chose to fight Tim Tszyu in a rematch instead and surrendered the title. So when Virgil says that Xander was gifted a belt, that's not the truth. The truth is, Sebastian forfeited the title, and the truth is, that's the difference between Xander and Virgil.
It was actually Leo Vega, a regular here on the channel, here on the panel, during the live streams that brought it up, that's the difference between Xander and Virgil. As soon as Xander had an opportunity to fight for a title, he grabbed it with both hands, whereas Virgil had that same opportunity to fight that same Sebastian Fundora, and he's been sitting on it for about a year now.
He didn't put no pressure on Sebastian Fundora to fight. He didn't pursue it as vehemently as Xander pursued it. So who are you trying to kid?
Saying that he was gifted a title? No, he put the pressure on Sebastian that you still haven't put on Sebastian. And that's why he has a belt and you don't.
They were both Sebastian's mandatory challengers, in case you forgot. Xander via the WBO and Virgil via the WBC. The difference? Like I said, one guy jumped at the opportunity, one guy didn't.
You say that he was gifted a title and he hasn't fought anybody, but it's not his fault Sebastian didn't want to fight. It's not his fault Sebastian chose to surrender the title instead of defending it.
And now you think that after he does what he's got to do to get it a belt, that he's supposed to bow down to you, that he's supposed to be on equal footing with you. I like Virgil Ortiz as a fighter. I think that he's good. But you don't got it like that, buddy. You don't have the kind of marquee value to where you can turn around now, wag your finger in his face and tell him, this is what we're paying, and this is where it's gonna be.
You don't have that kind of marquee value. You're not a star. It was Paulie Malignaggi that said it just the other day.
So, I don't know. For me, Virgil should be a star. I mean, for me, Virgil ticked all the boxes. But
yes.
He's not. But at this point, if you have a guy like Virgil, who's the next in the pipeline, he's already filling up huge arenas. And Virgil's not right now, right? I mean, he's not that
Not yet.
star level of popularity. But at this point in somebody's career, you can tell if they're going to be that guy. You know what I mean? Like Canelo, you could have told. Javante, even, you could have told. But there's got to be a push, too.
Virgil is not a star. And that's what I've been saying. He's a solid fighter, he's a good fighter, I like to watch him, but he doesn't have the kind of marquee value to where he can demand a 50-50 split and let Golden Boy decide on where the fight is. To the champion?
The guy who beat you to a title. This is what Zender had to say about all of that.
But can you talk a little bit about the actual offer? Like, was it a valid offer?
That was the offer. What I posted, the email was the offer, which again is not an offer. It's not a set date. It's not a set number. It's not a set venue. It's just a conversation starter. So they wanted to start a conversation. We told them, let's bring it to Puerto Rico. That's where I want to defend my title for the first time. And we didn't hear back. So there was no offer. Again, once again, it's just an email to start up a conversation. Doesn't matter what the fight is. I feel like everybody wants to see it, so the money will be there.
You send him this email. He tells you he wants it in Puerto Rico. Now you're in negotiations. Now you're bartering.
No.
So that as soon as he says that, you announced the Lubin fight.
So was this a negotiation, or was Golden Boy just trying to look like they were negotiating? Because that's how it looks to me. It looks like you were doing all this for show.
I believe that Xander and Virgil will fight, but perhaps not at 154. Perhaps at 160. I could see that fight a year from now at a higher weight, when perhaps both men have alphabet titles. But this,
When perhaps both men are on equal footing. I think that 27-year-old prospect comment really bothered Virgil. I think it stuck up his crawl.
he's sort of rubbing it in his face that Xander, at only 22 years old, is already a world champion, where Virgil is close to 30 and he hasn't held a title at any weight he's campaigned. Not at 147, not at 154, and no, interim titles don't count. Interim titles are just placeholders. All that means is you're a mandatory.
I don't think Virgil liked that Xander was rubbing it in like that, but if you really want to become a champion, put the pressure on Sebastian, or you could always go after Bakram Murtazaliev. He's free. He doesn't have a dance partner. He was gonna fight the guy that you are now about to fight.
Erickson Lubin. Did you have the interest in fighting Bakram that you all of a sudden had for fighting Lubin? And I think that is the difference between how a top-ranked fighter is guided and how a Golden Boy Promotions fighter is guided. You know, Top Rank's gonna get you to a belt. They're gonna make you a champion, whereas a lot of Golden Boy fighters, it's almost like they're just fighting for the sake of fighting, with no particular direction or trajectory. What is it all for?
I don't think Virgil liked being called a 27-year-old prospect, but he is 4 fights into his junior middleweight campaign, and it is about time that he fight for a title. Now you're gonna say, well, he wanted to fight for Xander's.
Not negotiating like that. What kind of lopsided negotiation is this, to where you contact him, you open up a dialogue, and as soon as he says he wants it in Puerto Rico, you announce another fight with another fighter? That's not a negotiation.
Like I said, I think it was just for show.
Over to an interesting discussion. A guy who goes by the name Clark said, so many what ifs if Crawford beats Canelo. What if Canelo beats Crawford?
How much credit would you give him?
Michael Montero, friend of the channel, said if Canelo beats Crawford at this stage of his career, when he's clearly past his prime, I will give him full credit. This isn't Charlo. Crawford is a legit elite level fighter, not a media creation. We've had this conversation in passing here on different episodes of The Relay and during the live streams, and I maintain that because Crawford is the older, smaller fighter that is moving up in weight, who's been out longer, more credit has to go to him than Canelo for taking this fight on, since it's Crawford at all the disadvantages. He's older, he's smaller, he's moving up, so he's new to the weight, and he hasn't fought in over a year.
So you're not going to give Canelo any credit if he wins?
That would all depend on how he wins, how long it takes him. Let's just say that Canelo Alvarez does to Terence Crawford at 168 what he did to Amir Khan at 160. I would have to give him credit for that. I would say that a spectacular knockout like that, inside of 6 rounds, that deserves some credit.
Some. But if we're talking about a points win, or worse, a draw, or even worse.
A lot of the Canelo Alvarez fans came at me for saying that Canelo doesn't deserve as much credit for taking on this fight as Crawford, while simultaneously saying that Canelo's gonna blast him out of there, that Terence doesn't stand a chance, he's gonna get knocked out. Well, if you feel that way, why do you think Canelo deserves so much credit then?
According to you guys, Terence doesn't stand a chance, he hasn't fought anybody, he doesn't have a resume, so why would Canelo get credit for beating a guy like that?
And then wonder why I say that these guys are irate, they're belligerent, which is a byproduct of their nervousness. Nobody thought that John Ryder would beat Canelo or Jaime Munguia would beat Canelo.
Nobody thought Edgar would do it. Nobody thought William Skull would do it. And that is where the Terence Crawford fight is different. There are a lot of people in the industry that think that Terence is going to win, that he can win. Many of the fans also think that he can win, and that is unsettling for them.
It's not a foregone conclusion that Canelo Alvarez wins this fight, and that bothers them. So they've taken to tearing Terence Crawford down, his resume, everything he's done so far. And I'm just thinking, well, if he's that bad, why are you demanding that I give Canelo credit for beating a scrub?
Make it make sense.
So I maintain, Canelo can't get the same credit as Terence for winning this fight, depending on who wins, and how Canelo wins matters also. If you knock him out, you make it quick, yeah, he deserves some credit for that, but if it's competitive and it goes the distance...
Remember that it is Canelo's fans tearing Terence down.
So that if Canelo doesn't knock out Terence, or if he struggles with Terence, if it's difficult, you guys are the ones that said Terence is a bum, is a scrub, he ain't got no resume.
So that, in effect, would reflect poorly on Canelo. A lot has been made of Canelo Alvarez sparring Jaron Ennis ahead of this fight, which is just a few weeks out. And based on the images I see, you see that Jaron Ennis is fighting from out of the southpaw stance.
As Terence Crawford often does. It gives me the impression that Canelo Alvarez is looking for the straight right hand or the right cross to be the kill shot. We know that Terence Crawford often likes to come out fighting southpaw, leading with the right in order to set up his left, but the caveat of fighting southpaw is it does leave you a bit more open for right hands, straight right hands. And the last time we saw Terence, he ate quite a few straight right hands from Israel Madrimov, to where I'm thinking, if Israel can land that punch that many times on Terence, Canelo can too.
So that could be the kill shot. That could be how Canelo Alvarez ends this fight. And if he ends this fight like he ended the Khan fight, then we can talk
about how much credit we can give him. But he's not going to get brownie points, extra brownie points for simply going the distance with Terence or drawing with Terence. I'm sorry. Canelo's got all the advantages here.
On paper, Canelo Alvarez should win.